I'd like to call Property Management Committee order. First order of business, call the roll.
Commissioner Dodd? Here. Commissioner Davidson?
Here.
Commissioner Wilson? Here. Commissioner Phillips?
Here.
Commissioner Irvin? Here. Commissioner Johnson?
Here.
Chairman McAdoo? Here. Thank you.
Next, approval of the minutes. Vice Chairman, Commissioner Johnson.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have looked over the minutes and find them to be in order and move to approve.
Approve, I have a second? Second. All those in favor? Commissioner Johnson, could you give us an update on Commissioner Boyd?
He texted me this morning and said he's had a lot of pain because of the therapy, but he said he's pushing through and hopes to be through that very soon and to be back with us.
Do you follow the doctor's instruction?
Yes, we've had those talks, and just keep him in your prayers, because
Thank you. Next, public comments. Next on the agenda, Chamber of Commerce, Singer Road property, Patrick.
Thank you, Chairman McAdoo, Commissioners. Good to see everyone again. I'm Patrick Kamak. I'm the Senior Vice President of Economic Development for the Chamber of Commerce. And so in that position, I try to recruit new jobs and new investment to the community through existing industries and also new industries. And so, as you're aware, we've been marketing the Florence Singer Road site for the recent time now. And I think initially we came to this committee before to market it just to see what the interest was out there, to market it as, primarily an industrial property. Industrial land is very rare in this community, in this region, and we know we're a great region that a lot of businesses want to be, so we thought we tested, and there is a lot of, there is a good bit of interest out there from the development community. We've been targeting actually end users with good jobs, and that's kind of what we've been, our primary goal for this. We have had a couple companies that end users that have looked at it and are still interested, but at this point, as we came back, I think 2 months ago, 2 or 3 months ago, at this point it would help to have a little more information about the site so that we could make it more marketable, assuming the commission and the committee want to sell it. And so I think that those are the couple questions that we have at this point is there still interest to sell it? Any guidance about just want to sell it and maximize the revenue, or is there a targeted type of user for that property, or do you want to keep it? And if any of those, I think these are some recommended services that Eric Hennessy brought to you last month or the month before, and so I think you have those quotes in front of you, and I can answer any questions about those, but I think those would, regardless if you want to, who you want to sell it to, if you want to do anything with it in the meantime or in the near future, I think all those would help, especially if you want to sell it, the appraisal but the environmental and geotechnical, and then the subdivision plat would really be helpful even if you didn't want to sell it. So happy to answer any questions. That's our update.
Thank you. Any questions?
Mr. Chairman, do we have a price we're asking, or a range, or?
We have a general range. We could kind of estimate that. Again, appraisal would be more official, and we're not experts on this, but we kind of give a guidance that we think it would be somewhere in the $200,000 an acre range. But again, we really don't know.
If we do more stuff to it, do we get a higher price, or what's the?
Great question.
What's the driver?
The driver is it makes it more marketable, and so it would reduce the risk and the timeline to a future seller. And so if there are different, if one company per se is looking at multiple properties and our property doesn't have the due diligence on it, but other properties do, then we would likely be cut, and they would be more likely to look further at the other opportunities. And then also, when you think about the timeline, doing these due diligence surveys, being able to say, we've done all this work, this reduces your timeline for due diligence and the timeline, say it's a company, to be operating. And so those kind of reducing the risk and reducing the timeline make it more marketable, and it could make it more valuable too.
So is there a survey on it now?
There was a phase one and a survey done a long time ago. And so longer than if we would put it, get it to a transaction, most buyers would require an updated version. So all the surveys I've done on it were past kind of the 5-year period, which most is usually required.
So we're just kind of chatting with folks, and we think it might be in this range. Is that fair?
Excuse me?
I'm just trying to get a sense. It sounds like we're basically saying, you know, it's for sale, it's in this range, this is what we have, don't have. And that's about it.
That's really all we can do. And you know, if we have someone that we would be interested in, they're interested in it, then we can show them the site, see if they're still interested. But at that point, that's kind of where we are. We can't really do anything more.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm not sure that it's a question or not. I'm not even sure that there was a question from the commission as it related to selling that piece of property. I think that's our goal. If I'm not mistaken, Anthony, you've been probably on top of this a lot more than any of us have. So I'm not sure what you're asking of us tonight, Patrick. What do you want from us?
Well, that's good to know that. I think there was a question at previous meetings, would this need to go to the commission to confirm the intent to sell, or to get the full commission's thought on it? And then also, I think if we got these services done, then that would help us if we do want to market it for sale. That would help us make it more marketable and be able to further the conversation. I think we have a little clarity on the process. That was another thing that came up. If we do have someone that wanted to sell and an offer there, what would be the process? And I understand we would turn it over to the county attorney and probably let it to go from there. But that would be part of. Well, I think we just a couple of those questions would be helpful to have clarity. But I think tonight, looking at these services that we have quotes for, that would help if there is the intent to sell, that to kind of make it more marketable.
I thought we'd already done that, but we probably haven't, and I apologize for that. I'm not sure how to word a motion, so you guys can help me with this, but I move that we approve the sale of that property through the Chamber of Commerce and pass it on to the full commission for approval. And if it passes the full commission, you come back here next month with what you need to market that, a written list of what you need to market that piece of property. Wayne, how'd I do?
Well, it's a little premature probably to approve the sale. What I would suggest is something on the lines of expressing our interest in selling, asking the chamber to come back with a recommendation in terms of these are the services that would make it most marketable. We would then, after we've had a chance to look at those, probably the next meeting, sign off on, and I think we did some of this, but there's nothing on the iPad this time. So basically saying at the next meeting we would approve or not the services to be provided with the goal, and then the commission, we could say we'd like to ask the commission for authority to begin the process of marketing it for sale. Then it eventually comes back for, approval of a sale.
As I said, I needed help with that. It looks like Eric's probably got something that he wants to bring up.
Yeah, Commissioner Phillips, I called Eric up because he's been working with this project, and he basically knows.
Let me withdraw my motion depending on further discussion, okay?
So I don't know if you guys remember, I was here in September. At that time, I presented several different quotes that we had received. One for a survey, which was $6,500. I haven't looked at these in a couple of months, so forgive me, it might take a second. A Phase 1 environmental for $3,100. A geotechnical, I think, was $10,000. And two appraisals, one was $3,500 and one was $2,500. And then there was a Phase 2 environmental that we had presented was $4,800. So I was asked to get some quotes, I think in September, and then I came back with those in October. We didn't ask for anything, any action on those at that time. We were just presenting what we had found. And so I guess in talking to Patrick, what we would like to see is that it be approved that we expend up to these amounts for these services. I'll have to go back and, I didn't get the quotes myself, so I'll have to go back and make sure we followed the purchasing policy on each one of these to get the quotes. But if we could, approve up to this amount, and then we can make sure that the purchasing policy and those things are followed.
Could we make those available before we have a chance, before we vote? Have they already been available?
We've already voted on those.
They were in the prior meet?
Yeah.
Here?
I don't know if they were on SharePoint, but
I don't have anything right now.
I think it was in the September meeting when those were handed out,
Packets, each one of us.
if I remember correctly. Yeah, it probably was because we received one of these quotes on August the 30th, so it would have been, we got it at the end of August, and it would have been brought at the September meeting.
Commissioner Wilson?
Thank you, Chairman. Yeah, I remember this discussion happening when we got the estimates from Eric about these were the suggested things that we need to have done to make the property marketable, including the geotech, the environmental phases, and of course the appraisals, because our big question is, and I was having a conversation with Patrick about this, if someone were to make us an offer, we currently don't actually know the real fair market value currently of that property because we haven't had it appraised or studied. So for us to be able to make an informed call, I even remember Chairman Dodd here saying, so for $200,000 an acre, just in this range for a 20-acre property, we're looking at how much this due diligence amount would cost, and we all kind of said that seems to be inside the realm of where we want to go. Now, what we did at that time was we were going to send this to the full commission to see if they want to sell it before continuing. But what I think I'm hearing tonight is budget would need to approve the spending of the money. It sounds like to me one possibility for tonight would be if this committee is ready to say we have a positive recommendation to put this in the due diligence to sell it, we could forward to budget to go over funding the money for the due diligence, which is approximately not to exceed somewhere in the, I think we just looked at, it's a little around $26,000. So what we could do tonight, if we're ready to move forward, is we could send a positive recommendation to the budget committee for us to do the due diligence work on the property to get it ready for sale to approve up to $26,000. Eric, am I right on that?
I think I have 28,400.
Is that 28.4? Yeah, we could say under 30.
30,000, could you do that?
Yeah, so we can just say 30,000. I think it covered all that, and I think we've all discussed that was the best way for us to find out what the true fair market value is, to be able to actually not only have the due diligence done, which does make it more marketable. When someone comes in, they already have that to look at to make up their mind. But we also know if the offer being made, what the fair market value is. So, I'd like to make a motion that we forward on to budget a positive recommendation to market the property and approve up to $30,000 of what I'll call the due diligence phases, including environmental, geotech, and the appraisals, and then forward that from budget, should it be approved at budget, onto the full commission for approval.
We have a motion and a second. I'd like to add one thing to that. The reason we brought it back also was to make sure that whatever expenditures we have would be attached to the sale price. That's one reason we brought it back, so we can make sure that there's no confusion on that. If we spend $30,000, whatever the property is selling for, we want it to include the expenditures of the $30,000.
Well, we certainly can come up with a sale price as a committee and a commission much better when we have this information back, and we can price it at whatever we choose. We can just make sure that we're pricing to include covering this and that. We can put it on the market for whatever we want to. Now, what we're offered is up to the buyer, but we can certainly list it to make sure we're getting those fees.
Mr. Chairman,
Wilson, is it a,
did the commission act on this?
No, it never was presented.
I don't remember it
to the commission.
acting.
We never presented it to the commission because
We had a conversation about doing it, but we did not follow through with
didn't
it.
follow through committing it.
Maybe that should be the next step, to have the commission at the next meeting weigh in.
Wayne, if it went through budget, then the budget would forward it on the commission, and the commission could make the decision then.
Commissioner Johnson?
I think it'd be premature to take it through.
And the budget would also make the determination if funds were available to fund that $30,000 or so. So I think what that motion, then makes a lot of sense. That motion is just a recommendation to sell the property and approve a certain amount of money, if budget can come up with it, to fund that, the preparation of that property for sale. If they approve it, they would forward it on to the full commission.
Okay, I understand. Thank you.
Any other discussion on it? Commissioner Johnson?
I brought this up, it's probably been a year ago now, and my statement then, and still I stand by that, is I can't see just sitting on a piece of property. It's not on the tax rolls. It's just sitting there. It's costing us not a lot, but it's costing us to bush hog it, to cable it off so nobody can dump in there, and different things. It already costs us money. To me, it doesn't make sense not to market it. We need money for schools. We know we're gonna have to build a jail pretty soon. We've got many things that we need money for, and we don't have the revenue coming in to pay for them. So that's part of our job, is to look for revenue. We've got the property sitting there. We've deemed that, the commission deemed that we didn't have a use for it. So therefore, that, to me, that says, okay, we're gonna sell it because the time is right. It's prime property, and this 19 or 20 acres that we're talking about is going to bring in a lot more money than just farmland, location and all. So I think this is an excellent motion, and we need to stand by that and send it on to budget.
Mr. Chairman,
Mr.
just,
Irvin?
could you refresh my memory? Is there any potential use that the county could put this property to? It's 20, isn't it what, some 20 acres, give or take? Is there any use the county could put it to? I'm just asking, and I'm not, I know that at one point there was, I think, some recycling and things like that. But aside from those kinds of activities, is there any use that we could put it to? I don't know the answer to the question. Maybe I'm drawing a blank on a discussion that was already occurred. But, I mean, other than selling it, since we already have it, occasionally we need pieces of land. I'm just trying to think through before we sell it.
So, Commissioner, I think that's what this process is trying to do, is one, trying to determine if we want to sell it. That's goal number one. That's what I've heard from this committee anyways. And then if we don't want to sell it, what do we want to do with it? I think that's kind of goal two. But we've never made it out of this committee and presented this forward to anyone else. I was asked to kind of figure out what this due diligence would require. We've done that. The request came from the chamber and what they thought would be good services for us to do with the property as far as the due diligence was concerned. That's where we went out and got the quotes. And so I guess we're doing right now, in my mind anyways, the exact thing you're asking about.
Commissioner Phillips?
Wayne, I'm struggling to remember everything, and I can't remember hardly anything, but the discussion that we had on selling this was that with the rail, what do you call that, extension? Spur. Thank you, Laura. With that spur, it would be more marketable for someone else and more valuable for someone else, and we could probably get more money for it. 19 acres, and if we could get somewhere in the neighborhood of $200,000, you're talking about somewhere just under $4 million for that piece of property. And there was also discussion about other things that are coming up, a proposal for a forensic center down in Smyrna, that some things could be added toward to make that more affordable. So Commissioner Johnson, I think, is exactly right. Sell that piece of property, and it would make more sense to add that money onto other building projects that are coming up, such as the forensic center, if that's what we decide to do with it. But I think the discussion was all around that rail spur, that the county would have no need for that, but that an industry probably would, and make it more valuable to them.
Any other discussion? Any other discussion? Any questions? Not. Do everyone understand the motion? Well, then Commissioner Johnson, didn't you second it? That's why.
Could you repeat the motion just so we double check, so we have a clear understanding?
The motion was to forward this to budget with a positive recommendation for marketing the property and allowing up to $30,000 to be spent towards the due diligence to determine its fair market value.
Everyone understand the motion? Here's call for the question. Question been called for, call the roll.
Commissioner Dodd?
Yes.
Commissioner Davidson?
Yes.
Commissioner Wilson?
Yes.
Commissioner Phillips? Commissioner Irvin?
Yes.
Commissioner Johnson?
Yes.
Chairman McAdoo?
Yes.
Thank y'all.
Okay. Wait till the other couple of commissioners get back up here with me. On the agenda, I see that he made it. Public Building Authority, Gary.
Thank you, Chairman McAdoo.
Would you like me to speak off to the side so I'm not rude and turn my back to you, or is
No, you
is that
speak.
okay? All right, fair enough. After speaking at the last PBA meeting with Mr. Dodd and Mr. Adam Dodd, he suggested that I come chat with the group here at the Property Management Committee, since Mr. Stan Vaught has retired from the PBA and is now doing great things for the school board. Adam thought it'd be great for us to get to know each other. So just quickly, thank you for allowing me the opportunity to speak to all of you today, and also thanks for your service and dedication to the citizens here of Rutherford County. I'm Gary Wisniewski, the chairman of the Rutherford County PBA. I've been a resident here since 1989, and I'm proud to serve on the commission and to serve the citizens of this great growing county. The PBA, as most of you know, is a board of 7 residents who serve at the pleasure of the mayor and the commission as a sounding board and a manager for the construction of new buildings and construction projects here in the county. Our goal is to be instrumental in analyzing and managing the construction process from concept to completion, with a successful handoff then to the Property Management Committee and Mr. Dodd and his folks. Our current members are Tucker Markham, who is our vice chair, Don Lester, who's been on the committee for a little while. He's a remodeling contractor. New to the committee as of last month are Bob Warren, who's a structural and civil engineer here in Rutherford County, who has done a lot of work for the county. Sean Holt, who is a retired large framing contractor. And I'm Gary Wisniewski. I'm the current chair with 36 years of experience here in Rutherford County in development, construction, and general contracting. Right now, with conversations with the mayor, we'd like to get our committee up to the 7 people that we need. Because as things move around, people are on vacation, people get sick, we need a quorum to pay bills, we need a quorum to make decisions. So with talking with the mayor and the mayor's office, we're looking for 2 more folks to go ahead and vet through the system. And with my conversations with the mayor was, it would be beneficial if we could find those next 2 people also with some kind of an industry background. The one thing that we're tasked with on the PBA is, one, to look at and analyze new buildings that we are going to do for the county to make sure, 1, that we're getting the best bang for our buck. Number 2, they're on the correct sites. And we want to get a little more involved with our due diligence. So for instance, when the committee was watching over one of the buildings that was on Veterans Parkway, this was early in my tenure on the commission, the property had a lot of large undercut, and the budget, if I remember, was quite a bit over budget by over $1 million, which to me broke my heart because I don't know how it got that far. So things we started looking at, and especially with bringing Mr. Warren on board, being a civil engineer and a geotech engineer, is to maybe get more involved with looking and helping the mayor's office and also the commission with looking at some of these projects ahead of time with more due diligence, as you were suggesting on the property there on Singer Road. Looking at them ahead of time can help prevent some of the overruns, some of the oopses, some of the, oh my goodness, we didn't realize that being there. So just for an instance, the one project we're managing right now and watching over is the center there in Plainview. The nice thing about that is we understood from the contractor of the timing to bring that project sooner than later with the way the weather was coming in. And we wanted to make sure that the budget had enough money to take care of the assumed undercut, which would then be a haul off and an import of shot rock for that site. Because we started and kept our eye on the ball and started the project sooner than later, that project is already in the footing stage. They're starting to block it. It's 30 days ahead of schedule, but more importantly, at this point right now, it's $800,000 under budget. By watching these projects and keeping our eye on them, and also, I welcome everybody here to our meetings because your feedback is instrumental to us. We realize when we're done and we sign off, we hand it to Mr. Dodd and his people and say, good luck, I hope this works for you. If we work better together as a group, we can hand over better projects if we design them on the front end and do our due diligence on the front end, we can do buildings that will not only have longevity, but increase in value and have less maintenance cost for Adam and his folks. So I just wanted to introduce myself to let everybody know that that committee is working really hard with bringing the right people on the committee that can do the due diligence, and also having the right people on the committee that are going to ask the really, really hard questions. We want to solve these things on the front end, not the tail end. So some things we've seen happening when we were on the committee is that if things weren't vetted on the front end, we ended up with change orders, not only for products that shouldn't have been spec'd, or change orders where people that were involved have changed their mind. In the construction industry, the thing every contractor hates is a change order. They're so costly, they steal your time, they steal your money, and sometimes they steal the quality of the project. So we'd like to be instrumental and have the county use us even further as a sounding board before the project starts, instead of after they're teed up to us. With that being said, once again, thank you, and if anybody has any questions that they would like me to answer about what the PBA is doing or what we'd like to engage further, I'm open.
Any questions?
Sure, I'll ask a question or two.
Mr.
Okay, so what projects, you mentioned Plainview, that's the only one you're currently working on.
Yes, sir.
What projects do you see coming down the pike that you will or expect to work on?
So from what I understand right now, the only project that, let's say, is teed up but on hold would be the other center, the emergency center that was supposed to go at the Del Webb property, but now is being retooled for a property, I believe, on Almaville Road. That project is on hold because I believe Smyrna has to bring some infrastructure to it, meaning sewer. I believe there's water on site or near the site, but there's no sewer available. So we see that one coming up in the future, but for right now, it's completely on hold because until that sewer line gets there, there's no way we can move that forward. So we're anxious for more stuff to do.
Do y'all get involved in any of the schools? Any of the school construction?
My answer would be not yet. That's up to the mayor's office and the county commission if they would like us to help with some of that. The thing that always kind of boggles my mind as a taxpayer of, we're going to build buildings and the PBA is going to watch over this, but then the school's going to build buildings that the county owns, but there's somebody else watching over that. And then we're going to do other projects that are going to be watched through the mayor's office. That's all great if that's the way the system's designed to run, but I think there's some synergies that we can build to help streamline that process and to put more eyes on it, not only on the front end, but as the project goes through.
Thank you. I'm going to interrupt on the schools. Commissioner Johnson, Commissioner Phillips. Commissioner Dodd wasn't here, but I know those two. Remember, we had a round with the school board on this, on helping them with building. We even went to court. We went to court and lost. It was appeals, and we lost the appeal. School board do their own thing. All we do is allocate money, and we was told that from the court and the appeal court. So we got to help them. If they so desire, it would have to be them asking us if they want our help. But I think Commissioner Johnson and Commissioner Phillips can correct me if I'm wrong on that, but I don't think I am. So you.
Yes, the answer to your question is, I guess not too soon. But we're open to it, and especially, you know, the talent that we're having now on the PBA, I think can be instrumental if they so would require the help or desire the help.
Urban, any more questions?
No, I think I'm good for now.
Okay.
Thank you.
Any other questions,
I just
Commissioner
want,
Dodd?
thank you, Chairman. I just wanted to thank Gary for bringing your expertise to the PBA, and I think that helps us. Hey, let's wipe the dust off the PBA and get you guys engaged where appropriate. So I'm glad you're here,
Well, thank you.
and maybe this committee can acknowledge to the full commission that, hey, PBA is gearing up, great pool of talent. They're going to have a quorum so they can actually function. And then to Wayne's comment and see where y'all can expand to. So I'm just glad you're here, and I'm glad your expertise is available and that you're giving it to Rutherford County. Thank you for that.
Thank you.
PBA members, they do a wonderful job. I attended, they are determined to help us. They will help us, no problem. But I think what happened with PBA, if Adam come up here, what happened to PBA, we had a good working rapport with PBA until we hit the one-stop building. We hit the one-stop building, the state kept holding us up and making changes. That went on for how long, Adam? A couple of years? And PBA got, they got frustrated with it, and we were too, because every time we look around, the state was requiring something different and whatnot, and sort of lost interest and sending more projects over there until we finished One Stop, which was, now that we got One Stop finished, I'm pretty sure we can send more work to PBA, and that they would respond back to this committee, if so desire, with a report. Prior to that, with One Stop, we did have the PBA giving us, after One Stop, it just all haywire, but appreciate you being here, and we appreciate the work that the members are doing.
Well, thank you. So on the report, would you like the PBA to put out a report after each one of our meetings, just to give everybody a heads up on what's going on?
That would be fine. I don't think anybody on the committee would object to that. Yeah.
Fair enough. Okay. Very good. Okay.
I'm not sure that it's all that important that you come every month, but you could attach
send
minutes
us a
to your
report.
meeting and attach those to our agenda. I think that would be.
Absolutely.
In my mind, that would be plenty.
I believe our next meeting is on December 7th, so I'll make sure within a few days afterwards that comes your way.
Sounds good.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for your time, everybody.
Next on the agenda, Facilities Maintenance Report, Director Dodd.
Good evening, Commissioners. We'll start tonight's report off with the Recovery Court. Permitting is now complete. The project was delayed about 2.5 weeks. As you're aware, last month we anticipated permitting complete by the end of last month, and that didn't happen. But good news going forward, the architect has today or is in the process of sending the GC a notice to proceed letter. The demo is at roughly 90% complete, and the construction is scheduled to commence next week. And that completes my report on the Recovery Court addition.
Any questions on Recovery Court?
Commissioners, we'll move on to our Plainview Public Health and Safety Building. The concrete foundation and the footing work is now complete. CMU wall perimeter around the slab is now complete. Slab on grade work is ongoing. Underground mechanical and electrical work also ongoing. Our 4 weeks look ahead is going is going to look pretty good, considering we're still about 2 weeks ahead of schedule on our underground MP&E. We anticipate that work to be complete and pass inspection within the next 4 weeks. Concrete slab on grade complete. CMU vertical walls also not complete, but they should be at 80 to 90% by next month. You'll see them start to set hollow metal frame doors and core fill. Mechanical plumbing and electrical rough-in wall. There are currently no delays associated with any critical components on this job. For example, electrical switchgear panels. There are no outstanding RFIs or change orders associated with this job at this time. Like I just stated, that this project continues to track approximately 2 weeks ahead of schedule. I don't have anything else to report at this time. Everything's looking really good out there on that site.
Adam, you're looking at April, May as an opening date,
That
something
is
like that?
yes, that opening date remains, yes.
Any other questions on Plainview?
Since Plainview came up, one quick question. At what point does PBA, are they continuing to work on it with you, or do you, or as they turn it over to you at some point? Or what's the interrelationship and who does what? I guess that's what I'm trying to figure out.
Okay. So PBA will continue oversight on this project until closeout and throughout the duration of the project. So once the certificate of occupancy is issued by the architect and all the closeout documents are finalized and the final change orders, which it has been our experience that they've been deductive change orders, and that hence the amount of money that I showed you last month on each project being returned, and that is just the construction bid amounts that we discussed last month. But they'll see it throughout the duration of the project, and then throughout each phase I just described, and then after the CO, and the final closeout documents are prepared, and then the PBA will turn it over to the county for occupancy.
So is PBA out there like every day or every week and you're obviously out there literally almost every day, I'll bet. And so is it concurrent now where they have some responsibility, or I'm trying to just kind of figure out who kind of the responsibility and who does what?
So I work with the PBA. I attend all the OACs. There have been some OACs. There are some members of PBA that have attended those meetings as well. As far as the amount of site visits that
OAC is
owner, architect, contractor. It's where all parties involved throughout the construction phase all meet on site. Go over any issues or just simply discuss the schedule. So, but yes, I kind of operate as the PBA's eyes and ears as well, and I attend those meetings as well as the PBA meetings. So I coordinate with property management and the PBA and the architect. So I guess to answer your question, yes and no. The members have visited some of our sites. As far as the frequency, I can't comment on that, but I do know that they are in regular contact with the general contractor and the architects, and they meet once a month as well.
Any other questions? Bishop couldn't be here with us tonight, so transfer station update. Director Dodd is going to do it.
Bishop. No, 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 unfortunately, he did call this afternoon, and he had a conflict, and he was just unable to attend. I told him that was okay. I would fill in. I'd do the best I could with it. So your project development updates. So grading and utility site work are ongoing. The structural construction progress, I'll touch on that a little more. The office building and the scale houses, those buildings are, if he gave, y'all have seen the site plan. Okay. Let me finish that. The structural, as far as the buildings, the office building and the scale house, which I think he has a picture later on in his presentation. Those are roughly about 30 to 35% complete. So I'll go back to that. But the pug mix was laid down in the concrete drive areas. The electrical conduit and the pole bases, they're now set on site, and we don't have a date yet, but we're awaiting on MTE to bring the service in. That's the transfer station. Those are the push walls. So they poured the remainder of the push walls today. I do believe they finished the push walls today. Those push walls are 30 inches wide and they're 20 foot tall. They're making a lot of progress out there right now. I was out there last week. They should be standing up some structural steel within the next 2 weeks. On that slab, there's the scale house, and like I said, you can see that that's roughly 30%. Next week, they're scheduled for final inspections on the structural, on the rough end, and they should be starting to pour concrete at the apron of the transfer station and the drive-in lanes within the next 2 weeks, mid-December. So the bid process. Now, I am going to make a couple corrections here. Rutherford County Highway Department has begun work on Landfill Road Phase 2 zone. Placement of concrete storm under roadway, temp diversion route, site construction prep is ongoing. The bids for Phase 1 Landfill Road intersection, that's where it ties in there on State Route 266, hence the two separate bids. Phase 1 was advertised November the 20th, and that needs to be corrected to a pre-bid meeting at Rutherford County Highway Department December the 3rd at 9:30 a.m., and those bids will be due on 12/17/24. And those will be due in Mayor Carr's office. So, and the final note is, especially some of the committee members that are on purchasing, you know that we just recently awarded Moody the boring, the utility, underground utility bid. So Moody came in, good contractor. The contractor is currently on site right now doing site work, and we've been very pleased. Everyone involved has been very pleased with Moody. So they came in. They were the lowest bidder. So it's my understanding that you did not hesitate awarding it. So that completes Bishop's report for this month. I know they held their monthly OAC there today, and I think things are going pretty well. You've got two really good contractors out there, general contractors out there that are working together really nice. You know, you bid out your site and then you bid out your structure separately, but it's coming together quite nicely. And before I complete this month's report, I do want to follow up. Last month, the question was brought up regarding oversight and inspections of the transfer station. So I wanted to clarify that. I know I was sitting in the back row when I said that the codes department were conducting inspections, but it's quite thorough. So there, as I just stated, there are two different general contractors that were awarded bids that also assign one project manager per general contractor per phase. SEC is providing oversight over the entire civil site package. KSA has two project managers assigned to the total project in our contract. In addition to our respective county departments conducting site visits and attending the OAC meetings, our building codes department required an additional third party to inspect the site and structures against the approved engineered drawings for the duration of this project, and that company is TTL. So there are quite a few sets of eyes on this project, and like I said, there are several different companies and people that are overseeing this project. So I hope that answers the question more thoroughly.
Any questions? Thank you, Director Dodd.
Thank you. Happy Thanksgiving, Commissioners.
Same to you. Okay, on the other business, I am going to call Eric back up to discuss Laverne Convenience Center lease.
So I know it's been talked about of possibly building a new convenience center in Laverne. This is not what this lease is about. This lease is for the current location at Sand Hill Drive. It is a one-year lease. Nick and I have reviewed this, made some changes, and we believe that it would be in the county's best interest to go ahead and sign the lease. It is on your SharePoint. You can take a look at it. I know that Laverne is wanting to have a start. If you look at the top page, it doesn't say the start date, but Laverne and Nick have discussed this, and I think they want to have a start date of December the 15th, which would be after our county commission meeting on December the 12th. So my recommendation would be that this lease proceed forward to the county commission with a positive recommendation.
You said a one-year lease, and I'm probably didn't catch everything that you said. What's the lease for?
It's for the current Sand Hill Convenience Center location in Laverne.
Extended?
Yes, that property is currently is owned by Laverne, and we've just leased that property from them. And so this would be a one-year lease for us while we're working on getting a new site location and to build out our new convenience center in Laverne.
We pay them $1 a year or something like that?
Yeah, I think so.
Any other questions? Commissioner Johnson?
The way this came up is we were having some questions out there or some difficulties with water lines and things like that. And the city of Laverne realized that we did not have an active lease on that property. And because of, they felt they had a liability there, us operating on there without a lease, that they asked for us to come back with a lease, work up a proper lease, and they have the understanding that we're trying to get off of there as quick as possible, but we do need the lease to satisfy their liability questions or problems.
Commissioner Johnson, I wasn't going to bring that up, but you're right. I don't think we've had a lease on this property in like 10-plus years. So
We haven't had a lease on the property, but it do bring up another question with me. Commissioner Johnson, since you're over Public Works, would you like for this resolution to go to Public Works from here? Send it on to the full commission. Commissioner Wilson?
The date again to begin, was it December 15? Just trying to make sure I heard that.
that is what they were requesting.
If you want it to go to Public Works, it could go to Public Works before it went to the full commission, and we'd still be on schedule if you wanted to do that.
I'm leaving it up to Commissioner Johnson since it's Public Works and he more or less handles convenience centers.
As long as we're not holding it up, I don't see a problem with it going back to our committee. I'm not one to bypass a committee, but I know
Okay.
we've all discussed it.
I hear a motion.
Chairman, I'll make that motion. I will move that we, with a positive recommendation, move this to Public Works for approval with the dates presented. Because I don't think the dates are officially on the sheet as on our iPad, so with the dates presented of December 15.
That is what Nick said the other day that Laverne was requesting. So it will ultimately, it has to go through Laverne's committees and things as well. So the final date would be selected after it's gone through approval in Laverne and then gone through approval here. We were just looking at the 15th because the next commission meeting is December the 12th. And so if we could
Okay.
get it approved by December the 12th, then, and Laverne could get it approved before that date, then we would just pick up December 15th.
So move to approve with a positive recommendation for approval, forward to Public Works as presented.
Thank you.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, I have a quick, well,
Second?
Michael, well, no, I don't want a second. I'm not
No,
seconding.
I got a second.
Okay.
Commissioner Johnson seconded. Is there any discussion?
I just had a
Commissioner
question. Does this need to go through budget? I mean, it's not just $1. There's indemnification provisions, there's other potential financial issues.
Public Works come first, and if they want to send it to budget, it's up to his committee to send it on the budget.
Oh, okay, so you're not precluding budget, you're just saying send it to Public Works.
Public Works will come before. It'll be up to that committee where they want to forward it. So we're just taking it to the next step. So I understand, that's exactly right. I just was going to forward it to the next step.
Wherever it needs to go, I'm good with.
Call the roll.
Commissioner Dodd,
Yes.
Commissioner Davidson,
Yes.
Commissioner Wilson,
Yes.
Commissioner Phillips, Commissioner Irvin, Commissioner Johnson,
Yes.
Chairman McAdoo.
Yes.
Thank y'all.
Any other business to come before us tonight? Happy Thanksgiving. Oh, wait a minute. Commissioner Johnson.
I just have one thing because our Public Works won't meet before Thanksgiving. So there's been some questions. Commissioner Davidson called me today and wanted to know about the convenience centers. Are they going to be open on Thursday? So I made a few phone calls, and yes, next week, Wednesday before Thanksgiving, the centers will be open as normal. And Friday after, that's next Friday, after Thanksgiving, they'll also be open,
Thank you for
regular
that.
times.
Thank you for that info. Any other questions? Not. Happy Thanksgiving.